Five Guys on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on the Five Reasons Sports. I got Alex Donno. You can follow him at Alex Donno. Excuse me. Yeah, something happened today. Tua Tagovailoa has been benched. It's pretty fair to say that his tenure as the Dolphins' unquestioned starting quarterback is over. We're going to get into more of what this means. I know that there are some that are doing celebrations today because they never really thought he was the right guy. I guess this is the day you can do it. I mean, you can get into circumstances. He's clearly not the same player that he was a couple of years ago. I don't know the reason. Anybody who is saying they know the reason is speculating about the reason. But this was a guy who, if you go back a couple of seasons, was going bombs away against the Chargers. And now he's afraid of his own shadow. And again, if you were against his drafting in the first place because you thought that he wasn't going to hold up in the NFL, there were moments, Alex, where it looked pretty good. But right now it doesn't look very good.
I mean, that 70-point performance that they had against Denver a couple of years ago, it feels like so long ago now.
It's crazy. I mean, in the sense of you look at what they were doing, they were reinventing offense to a certain degree. I mean, and it's all fallen apart. I guess we can get into people are going to want to play the blame game here, the drafting in the first place. But I'll ask you this. If you look at where he was to where he is, I can't think of a quarterback in the NFL that has declined that rapidly. There have been guys who have had years, like Carson Wentz had a year, right? And then he's been kind of a journeyman since. But you're talking about somebody who played to the level of his drafting and was leading the NFL in passing yards. And again, like 200 was a good half for him. Now that's a number he can't reach in a game. What do you think has happened? Again, I know it's all speculation, but what do you think?
I mean, clearly, I think that the amount of concussions, one way or another, have taken a toll. Whether that has, just made it harder for him to function. And this is wild speculation on my part, so I don't want, we're spitballing here. But whether it actually be like the physical symptoms of concussion, but it could also be like you said, afraid of your own shadow, Ethan, and like obviously just the effect that has on you. I think it changes the way you play that position, and I think that mental block I think is accumulated for him. He also doesn't look right physically, and again, we don't know what's really going on. But like he seems physically incapable now of making routine throws that he was capable of less than a season ago. Right. And like you said, I don't think I've ever seen a regression this quick, because like he doesn't look the same guy that it looked like a month and a half ago. And like you can't blame all of that on Tyreek Hill being out. Like that's not it. Like there's a lot more going on here, right? And you as a Dolphin fan, like I remember a guy like Jay Fiedler got pretty old quick. Like once he got over the hill, it was a very precipitous drop. But that was understandable because like he was in his 30s, like he was exiting his prime.
Well, Pennington too, Alex. I mean, 2008 and then 2009, the shoulder started to act up again. But there were a clear series of injuries. Like Pennington was not supposed to play even at the level he did with the Dolphins. People thought he was done when he left the Jets because of the shoulder surgery. He couldn't throw it very far. But this is more than not being able to throw it very far. This is processing that makes you think that so maybe the accumulation of the head injuries has contributed. The one thing I don't think it's as simple as he got paid, he doesn't care anymore. I don't
think so either.
No, you don't hear that from behind the scenes. You don't hear that he's showing up to meetings late. He was trying. He got criticized this year for revealing what happened in one of these meetings. I guess one of the most disappointing things about this is one of the nice stories about the Dolphins of the past few years was the idea that McDaniel had salvaged to his career and they were symbiotic and all that, and all their synergy. That has seemed gone too. I don't know if maybe the coach thought that the player could still do some things that the player can't do, and that led to the frustrations. I don't know. I feel like they had a shot about 2 years ago where they had a team that could go somewhere. He never really got past the questions about the cold weather. It's funny. There's so many parallels, Alex, between him and Hero and the way that they're both viewed.
Yeah.
And like Tyler has some bugaboos that like he's never going to get past with some of the fan base because they keep happening. The struggles in the playoffs, the defense, and not being available, right? And here we are again, and we don't know night to night if Tyler's available. And with Tua, it was kind of the arm strength, the not being available. They both had moments where they proved people wrong. Tua played an entire season. He was one of only 10 quarterbacks to do that year. Tyler played 77 games last year. But ultimately, and Tua's been available this year. That has not been the problem. The problem is he's been bad. Like, he's been really bad. Like, he's been a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL over the past 5 weeks. So do you think there was anything else to do but this?
No, this is a rare moment where I give the Dolphins organizationally credit for doing the right thing, because you've got Quinn Ewers, who you just spent a draft pick on. I know it was a low draft pick, but I actually thought Ewers in the 7th round was a steal. I thought he would go, something like the 4th or the 5th round at worst, right? So you got to see what you have. And this is every opportunity, because you got nothing to play for. Like, another embarrassing loss this past Monday night. You're officially, we all knew it was a matter of time, but they are mathematically out of the playoffs. Your quarterback, your former starting quarterback now, was playing inexcusably bad. It makes all the sense in the world when you're out of the playoffs to give the opportunity to the guy who you just drafted. And I don't know if Quinn Ewers is the future or not. Like, obviously there's a reason why he wasn't a 1st round pick, because he's not a consensus franchise changing type of guy, but that's all the more reason to give him an opportunity for these remaining games to play. So I think the Dolphins absolutely made the right move. And I'll say another thing, Ethan, because you talked at the top of the show about how, the people who didn't like Tua or didn't believe in Tua. Yeah, maybe some of them are doing victory dances today, but I am someone who has been skeptical of Tua throughout his entire time as the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback. And yet, this is not a happy day for me.
No.
Because I'm a team first guy. And for as many doubts as I had about Tua, I wanted nothing more than to be proven wrong. And also, as someone who, has been a fan of this team for better and for worse for my entire life, the idea that now we've just had, Tua for almost 6 full seasons now as starting quarterback. If it turns out now that he's definitely not the guy, that's another 6 years we just spent on a treadmill, like not going anywhere. So
after seven with Tannehill, right?
Yeah.
So
this is not a happy day for me, and it shouldn't be. If you're a maybe some people out there hate Tua so much they're a Tua hater first and a Dolphin fan second. Maybe they're celebrating today, but as a Dolphin fan first and a Tua skeptic second, this is not a happy day for me.
No, I understand that perspective, but I don't think everybody shares it, but I respect that you have it, because I think that a lot of people want to be right more than they really want the team to succeed. But there's so much that went into this, and obviously the question that's going to be asked now is, why did you pay him when you didn't have to? And now this creates this whole unwinding process that is very complicated. And I don't really know why there was such hatred for him. He became a talking point. It didn't seem tied to religion or political views or anything like that, even though some criticized it. It didn't really seem tied to personality. It seemed just tied to the fact that people were entrenched on their viewpoints of whether or not he was the starting quarterback. But you're right, it's 6 years. And if you go back, I remember we sold the shirts into the draft and everybody was buying them. Like, this was a moment. All the Dolphins have been able to sell over this, literally since the century turned, since the millennium turned, is hope. That's it. They have not been able to sell success. This guy embodied hope. He won a national championship coming off the bench. He got back from a hip injury. Now, looking back, okay, it wasn't the hip that did him in, but just general fragility that did him in. But at the time, again, this was considered to be a savior type. At moments, he played like the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback in Dolphin history. He did. If you look at the comeback against Baltimore, I mentioned that the San Diego. I remember early on against Arizona, there were games where it was like, okay, he could put a team on his back with his accuracy. As time went on, though, he became completely incapable of making do unless things were perfect.
Yes.
And right. And that's in the modern NFL, you can't have that. And then when your processing is not where it was, because his processing, his processing and his accuracy were his superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
Once the processing went, the accuracy went, the confidence went, the confidence of the coach went, the personnel around him receded somewhat. I don't think this is a Tyreek thing. His numbers used to be better when Tyreek was not on the field. I don't think this is that. This is just a combination of all of these factors that came together where he's just not a starting NFL quarterback anymore. That was not the case. Those who argued against it before, when you're leading the league in passing yards, you're a starting NFL quarterback. This guy right now is not a starting NFL quarterback. And I really wonder, now that he's gotten paid, now that he's gone through all these frustrations, now that it's clear that he's probably not going to be handed the keys to any franchise again if he just retires. I mean, once the money comes in, it wouldn't stun me. It really wouldn't.
Well, it's definitely, that it wouldn't surprise me if he goes that route. Like you said, the Dolphins are definitely in a bind here, Ethan, and it's because of the lucrative extension that they gave to him. You're seeing the number being reported that if they were to cut him, they owe him it would cost $99.2 million against the cap, and they would have 45+ million in dead money next year. So it's like, it's one of those, it's a cheaper to keeper situation where it's like you got to keep him on the roster, but then it's like, you can't just go into next season pretending that this year didn't happen and like, we're rolling, we gave Ewers a shot. Now we're rolling back with Tua. Like, you can't. I mean, I understand he's probably going to be on the team next year, which is awkward, but I think you need to bring somebody in to truly compete with him. And maybe Ewers is that guy. Maybe Ewers lights it up. I would love nothing more than to see that, but you have to, either have an open competition with Ewers, or you bring in somebody else next year, or you draft somebody that you can hand the keys to in the future, assuming Tua doesn't retire, like you said, because you just can't cut him right now. It makes no financial sense. It makes more sense to keep him around, as weird as that is.
Right, and that's the problem now. Now you go into next offseason knowing that he's not the guy. And at the same time, you're going to have to get competition, which they've essentially lowered their standards on backup quarterbacks so as not to create any pressure for him. And I never understood why they did that, because if you gave him the money, then he should have been able to live with whoever was around. And so, again, you draft a guy in the 7th round last year, right? Like, let's not pretend here. Okay. The odds of Quinn Ewers being the guy, I know people are going to say Brady 6th round pick. Shit, there was a draft Washington had years and years back. Heath Schuler was picked in the top 5. They took Gus Frerotte in the 7th round. Gus became the starting NFL quarterback. Heath is a congressman. Okay, there are cases, okay, where guys emerge from lower down in the draft. I get it. But again, 6 rounds of teams passed on Quinn Ewers for a reason. This comes in from our guy, Coach Smith. Well, Coach Smith, Eric, I think the cap implications of 2027 are basically the same whether you post-June cut him or hold him until 2027 and then cut him, so it doesn't make much sense. And this one comes in from Anthony. I said this at the beginning, Ethan and Alex, that the only reason why Chris Greer signed his contract extended for Tua was to prove he didn't make the wrong choice at quarterback. I wonder, we'll never know. Maybe we will know. I don't know. We don't know now. If that went into the decision that Ross made. I mean, look, everything in an NFL, just years late, but everything in an NFL team surrounds that decision. The decision about the quarterback is 51% or more of where the franchise is going to go. We can say teams can win without elite guys. You're not going to win with a bad guy. Okay.
Nope.
Right. So, I mean, the guy has to be at least average to above average or be able to get to an above average level. I don't know that Tua can get there anymore. And I just wonder if the conversation was, look, you invested all this money, you created this bind, we're going to move on and find somebody else to get the quarterback. Yeah. And then as Mike's pulling away from Tua also, because it's pretty clear that some of these leaks that were starting to come out, smell like kind of, all right, let's make sure to put the blame where it belongs here. That again, if you're Tua, how do you handle that when you're put out in front of the media? He didn't do a particularly good job of that this year, so it's just all unraveled. And then this one too, bro, all these games won for no damn reason. Should have tanked for Mendoza. They never do that right.
We're always in this spot. I mean,
We-
even when you have a coach that gets told by ownership, please tank, they still don't do it.
They still don't do it. And then they end up with lawsuits. Aaron Anders, the weirdest thing about the 2 errors, some people made far to me personally. It's just stuff not football related. That was. I'm glad Aaron mentioned that.
Yeah.
That is the strange part. No, I don't really know. I mean, I'll just be honest. I don't agree with him politically, but I don't think that was the thing. I don't know what it was that, to me, I thought he handled himself at the podium well. He was very guarded his first 3 years or so. Then he kind of became salty too, and people liked that, it seemed like. And then show me the money and all that. And then, but the problem
he let Rich Eisen get into his head. Like when Eisen started to praise Salty too, it's like he started putting on a performance after that. I don't know.
Right.
He let that get to him.
No, it was weird. All of a sudden he was in Jerry Maguire. I don't really get it. But his personality changed a little bit as the performance dipped. That's the weird part, right? For most guys, you'll get a sort of a confidence boost, when they're playing well, and then they'll talk a good game. Tua started talking more after he started struggling more. That part I don't really understand. I think that rubbed people the wrong way also. Also for Coach Smith, Hussam mentioned the passing game reminding him of Yusuf with Slowick. Tua and Bevel have a good relationship. Did Slowick's addition take away Bevel's voice? Possible. I mean, all of this.
Maybe.
There's so many factors involved, and I think again, they had a team this year that was not good enough. I think most of us thought it wasn't good enough before the year. They're 6-8. It's kind of what they are. We can say they could have won one, could have lost one in the games that have mattered. They had Pittsburgh, they had Baltimore in these primetime games. They bleeped the bed, and he was a big part of both of them. And as somebody who, again, raising my hand, defended him a lot, I'll say that I didn't expect this. I really didn't. But when you see it,
and I did not defend him, and I still did not expect this. Like in my wildest imagination, did I think he would drop this precipitously?
No. We'll close with this, and again, follow Alex at Alex Donno. Prize Picks, use the code FIVE. Also, new episode of Messi and Company coming up here later today, and obviously we'll get back to all the Heat stuff. Ethan and Alex, who are your top guys? Who are your guys' top candidates you want Miami to look at for the next GM? I like Champ; he's part of this front office. I mean, my concern is always the half measures, right? So
you have to find somebody new. I don't like who are. I don't know who the hot possible GM names that are out there right now. I mean,
CK's put some out there. I would say, again, look at the successful organizations. Look at who's maybe second in their scouting department, but has the ability to lead.
Yeah.
And make sure, though, that guy's not so indoctrinated by the place they're at, because sometimes that has happened, like New England guys coming in. But I would look that way. I know that we're going to hear the usual Lewis Riddick stuff and all that. I don't think any of that's happening. I think that they've done these kind of searches before Ross, during Ross. They tend to mix a blend of candidates in this, and then they tend to settle on the in-house guy. I think they're probably going to settle on the in-house guy. That's and I can't say no.
And it's nothing against Champ. It's just I just don't think it's the right move. Like even if Champ Kelly does prove it to Stephen Ross, it's going to be a hard sell to the fan base to stay within.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be, but everything's a hard sell right now. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, this move today is a bone to some fans. I mean, this is like throwing a bone to some fans in addition to all the other reasons for doing it.
I mean, it was a lot like the Greer firing, right? I mean, you see that was a bone. Now you throw another bone.
I mean, during the season too, the Greer firing had no impact on anything. They won after; it had nothing to do with him. The trade deadline
they won
was
after
already
because
passed.
They were playing against terrible teams after that. For the
right. So that was basically. Well, actually, I'm sorry. The trade deadline had not passed. They did it right before. But
yeah, that's right.
But even so, they. I mean, Quinn Ewers is not going to make anybody forget. Dan Marino here, so let's not expect that. This comes in from Halo. Donno was. We'll close there. Donno was right again. Donno should be hired by the Dolphins or Heat front office. Brady's being hired for the Heat front office.
I wanted Justin Herbert, and people made fun of me for years, and suddenly that doesn't seem like it was such a bad idea now.
No, it doesn't. I'll admit that. There you go. This comes in from J. Bill. Ethan Greer fired and Tua benched in the same year. Resounding success this year. I can't argue with you at this point. I'm not. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox as related to Tua. It's over. Basically, it's over. Let's just acknowledge it. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll have more Dolphins content. Check out the latest 3 yards per carry. I'm sure they will be weighing in on this, as well as the guys from Scouting the Fins. Eric will have a new video up here shortly. Big day for the Dolphins. It's always the worst kind of news. Have a good day.